The critical phase of the AUC elections is here. This is the phase when these candidates are going to go out of their regions to get those assurances, to speak with presidents and hear their views so that they can incorporate them in their agendas. And it is very important because this is the time now we're going to see the strategies that have been laid out by either the Djiboutian candidate that we have talked so much about or Raila Odinga, who are the two main contenders of these AUC elections. It is very important also to point the countries that they are going to choose because these are the countries that they have seen better to spread their influence in particular regions. And today we are going to speak about the just recently released plan for Raila Odinga to go to West Africa. West Africa is a very critical region, as we have discussed here time and time again. West Africa will be the defining factor of who is going to be the AUC chairperson because there are very many countries in West Africa. It is Francophonie, and most of these leaders have won their bids because they have been supported by West Africa. So West Africa in these elections is the defining factor. And we know that it will be very easy for the Djiboutian candidate to get some votes from West Africa because of the language factor. AUC elections have been known to favor different candidates depending on the languages that they speak. Most of these leaders that have been elected previously to serve as AUC chairpersons have been from Francophonie countries. There's only one South African who managed also to be there from a different language-speaking region in Africa. So it is very important to note that West Africa is very important. And Raila Odinga just released his victory plan for West Africa. I call this the victory plan because this is the clearly laid out plan that Raila Odinga is targeting in different countries so that he can influence the entire West African region. And I'm going to go through these countries so that we can understand each one by one why Raila Odinga is targeting specific countries and why he's not targeting other countries. This is bona fide, and if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly subscribe to the channel so that we can follow Raila Odinga's bid for the AUC step by step. We have already started following Raila Odinga's AUC 2 months ago. We are still following Raila Odinga's AUC bid right now, and we'll still follow the bid up to 2025 February when there will be a vote. We are explaining everything, clear analysis of what is going on, and the fact that Kenya is putting out its second bid for the AUC chairperson and how that will pan out. So let us get right into the topic. The first country that Raila Odinga will set foot on later this week is Nigeria. And Nigeria is a very important country when we are speaking about West Africa and the larger Africa influence. Nigeria is a powerhouse, is an economic powerhouse in West Africa. Nigeria is the seat of ECOWAS. Now, it is very important for Raila Odinga to go to Abuja to speak to the leadership of ECOWAS because as we have seen the strategy that has been put forward by Raila Odinga, he wants to appeal to these regional economic blocs. It is very important to appeal to these regional economic blocs because if you get their agenda, if you're going to work with their agenda, it will be very easy as the AUC chairperson. It is not a matter of just going to appeal to different specific countries. If you can go by these regions and speak the language that these regions understand about economics, about non-interference in internal politics, about working together with the AU, that is the regional blocs working together with the AU to achieve their particular goals, it will be very easy for these candidates to appeal to countries that form these blocs. So Raila Odinga is choosing Nigeria as the first step because of the fact that, one, it is a very influential country in West Africa, and two, it is the seat of ECOWAS. So when Raila Odinga goes to Nigeria, we assume he's going to speak with the leadership of ECOWAS. That will be a very important discussion because these regions have to work with the AU, and Raila Odinga will be now at the helm of the AU. How will AU work with these blocs? It is also important for Raila Odinga to meet the president of Nigeria, and that is in his schedule because Raila Odinga is going to meet Bola Tinubu in Nigeria as the president of Nigeria to further spearhead his campaign. The importance of Nigeria cannot be underscored further, but it is also important to note that the former president of Nigeria, that is Olusegun Obasanjo, is a very great friend to Raila Odinga. Perhaps he is the person who is reaching out also to the president in Nigeria that Raila Odinga is having a very good bid and promises a very good chance for AU going forward. So by the fact that we have Olusegun Obasanjo already supporting Raila Odinga's bid, it will be easier for Raila Odinga to speak with the president. It will be easier for Raila Odinga to get the support of Nigeria, which he already has the support of Nigeria. And that is a big boost to Raila Odinga's candidacy to become the next AUC chairperson. The next country that Raila Odinga is going to visit is Ghana. Now, Ghana is secondary to the influence that Nigeria has in West Africa. And mind you, these two countries are English speaking. These are Anglophone countries in West Africa. They have great influence, but these two, mind you, are Anglophone. So Ghana will have its election in December. That means that the president that will vote next year, February, during the elections, will certainly not be the president that is ruling Ghana right now. That is Nana Akufo-Addo. So what Raila Odinga has done in his itinerary is to make sure that he speaks with the two main contenders of the elections. That is the current Vice President Muhammadu Bawumia and the former head of state John Mahama. So these two will meet Raila Odinga in his visit in Ghana, possibly because Raila Odinga may not go back to Ghana again, and because one of these two will become president. So Raila Odinga has to make sure that he speaks with both so that they can have agreements and discuss on how AU will lead and how AU will partner with Ghana in whatever capacity if Raila Odinga is elected. So it will be very important for Raila Odinga to meet the two main contenders in Ghana so that he will have that scope, because he will also meet with Nana Akufo-Addo, but Nana Akufo-Addo is leaving the presidency and will not be there next year to vote for either Raila Odinga or another candidate that would be on the ballot. But it is also important to note that Ghana has already supported Kenya. Ghana came out very boldly to support Raila Odinga, and Raila Odinga is only going to cement that support by meeting the two main contenders who one will be the president of Ghana come next year, 2025. From Ghana, Raila Odinga will go to Senegal. Senegal is a very critical country to have support in West Africa. Senegal is a Francophone country, but has influence in West Africa, has influence in ECOWAS, and the influence is competing with the influence that Nigeria and Ghana are giving. So Senegal provides the ground for Raila Odinga to reach out to Francophone West Africa region, a powerhouse, an economic powerhouse. And Senegal being a democracy, it will be easy for Raila Odinga to reach out. It will be easy for Raila Odinga to have conversations with Diomaye Faye. Already, Raila Odinga met Diomaye Faye back in China. He met Diomaye Faye back in New York when there was the United Nations General Assembly. We saw the pictures of Raila Odinga, William Ruto, and Diomaye Faye already having conversations. So it will be very easy for Raila Odinga to reach out to Senegal than it will be for the Djiboutian candidate, Mohamed Youssef, because of the system of governance. It is very easy for a person from a democracy to speak to another person from a democracy, because the challenges that these people face are almost alike. Senegal is a democracy. One of the most stable democracies in Africa is Senegal. And Senegal has shown that it can have smooth transition of power, even if the outgoing president has a candidate that has lost, as we saw in the previous elections. And Senegal has also conducted elections just recently, and the president has emerged very, very strong, because these were parliamentary elections and the government of the day has succeeded in getting a majority. So Senegal has shown Africa about democracy. It will be easier for Raila Odinga to reach out to Senegal because of the fact that Kenya and Senegal are both democracies. Well, Djibouti is not a democracy. It has been led by one president for a very long time. We cannot classify it as a democracy for that purpose. Of course, Kenya and Senegal are not perfect democracies, but they are practicing democracies in Africa. Therefore, it will be easier for Raila Odinga to reach out to Senegal to get the support of President Diomaye Faye when push comes to shove. Another country that Raila Odinga has targeted is Benin, and this one I'll handle them as two, Benin and Togo. Benin and Togo are very critical countries when you're talking about countries that are not as much as influential than the ones that I have already mentioned in West Africa. It is very important to incorporate all countries, not only to focus on the main big countries in the region, to also focus on these small countries. They are very important in giving you the bloc support. So Togo and Benin have been targeted by Raila Odinga. Just a few weeks ago, we saw Raila Odinga in Ethiopia meeting the ambassador of Benin to Ethiopia. They had conversations with the ambassador. That means that Benin already has welcomed the idea of Raila Odinga becoming the AUC chairperson. Togo being a country that is also bordering these big countries, it is possible that this country will support Raila Odinga in his bid. Another country in West Africa that Raila Odinga is also targeting is Ivory Coast. Note, I have mentioned Nigeria, I have mentioned Ghana, I have mentioned Senegal. Also, another country that is very important in West Africa is Ivory Coast. Very influential, a Francophone country, and a country that can give Raila Odinga the support that he needs in that bloc. If he gets the support of Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Senegal, then Ivory Coast, Raila Odinga will have won the support of West Africa, because all these are very influential countries in West Africa. So Raila Odinga apparently has a very close relation with President Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast. And that really counts because, as I started by saying, it is a secret ballot. And this is a ballot where a president feels comfortable with a particular candidate. If they can have a conversation, if they can strike deals, if they can speak and meet halfway and agree on things, that president will support you. It is not the burden of an entire country. It is the buck stops with the president himself. They are going to vote individually for these candidates. So close relations with these important leaders is very, very critical. The relations that Raila Odinga has with presidents across Africa will really count in these elections. He has a close relation with Alassane Ouattara. That means Alassane Ouattara is a friend, personal friend to Raila Odinga. Ivory Coast has already extended the welcome to Raila Odinga to go and visit that country and speak to Alassane Ouattara, the president of the country, to have conversations of Raila Odinga becoming the AUC chairperson. So that will really, really go a long way in boosting the support that Raila Odinga will have across Africa. We know that he also has a personal friendship with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. These are very critical and important people that are going to support Raila Odinga to the finish line. This friendship that Raila Odinga has with Olusegun Obasanjo is counting in the support that Raila Odinga is going to get from Nigeria. So we are seeing these personal friendships coming to play, and they are very, very important when push comes to shove, when you want that critical one vote that is going to make you to become the AUC chairperson, when you want that country to influence her neighbor so that they can go and support Raila Odinga. Someone like Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast will be very critical for Raila Odinga. People like Olusegun Obasanjo are very, very important to influence their presidents to support Raila Odinga. So this is the plan that Raila Odinga has for West Africa. These are the countries that Raila Odinga is really, really targeting in West Africa. I can mention the long list of other countries that Raila Odinga is also focusing on, but those mentioned countries, Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Senegal, and Ivory Coast, are the countries that Raila Odinga has set his eyes on, that if these countries support him, then they are going to influence other countries in the region to support his bid. Of course, a country like Sierra Leone is likely to support Raila Odinga. Well, I'm just going to mention the full list of the countries that Raila Odinga has interest on. These are not countries that he will visit. The ones that I've mentioned are the countries that he will visit, but these other countries are the ones that Raila Odinga has his interest on when we're talking about West Africa. So these other countries include Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, and Cape Verde, alongside other countries that I've mentioned. All these countries are on the list of Raila Odinga to get support from when we are discussing issues to do with West Africa, because that is the critical vote-rich region and is the decision maker, is the kingmaker of whoever is going to be the AUC chairperson. Well, in the next video, we're going to focus on South Africa because Raila Odinga has also laid out a plan for South Africa. We're going to look at the countries that Raila Odinga has chosen to visit when we're talking about South Africa and why those countries are very important for Raila Odinga to secure his win when next year, February comes.